Okay, so we have completed second chapter, verse number 10. Now we are going to begin with verse number 11. Today we'll complete from verse number 11 to verse number 30. Okay, so thus Krishna smiled and spoke further verse to Arjuna. What was Arjuna's question, query? What was Arjuna asking? Okay, three modes: Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Five Indriya, 11 Indriyas. Very good. Which are those 11 Indriyas? Somebody can tell. Five Jnanendriyas, five Karmendriyas. Which are the Jnanendriyas? Let's speak in English. This is English Bhakti Shastri class. Yes. Hmm. Hands, legs, throat. Hmm. Yes, genital and rectum. These are the five karmendriyas. And which is the 11th one? You said 11th sense. That is mind. Mind is the 11th sense. So 11 senses, three modes of material nature. What else? 14 out of which are the remaining 10?
Hare Krishna.
Okay. This- Okay, this is the homework. 24 elements. This is how the Prakriti is made. That is a part of Klesha. That is not there. We can't just calculate the, when the question is asked, what is three modes of material nature, three kleshas, what is four, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, Dukkha Dosha Darshanam, what is five, then, five senses, what is six another. Not like, I'm not asking that. Okay, so this is homework. Which are those 24 elements? Everybody should know the element. So yes, that is not topic of today's discussion. So apart from this 24 element, there is 25th and 26th element, which is very, very important and which completes the whole yoga. Yoga means what? What is the meaning of yoga? Union with God, our connection with God. So that is establishing that connection means yoga. So any yoga which is speaking here, it is mainly talking about connection with God. So it is Karma Yoga, it is Jnana Yoga, it is Ashtanga Yoga, or it is Bhakti Yoga. Similarly, this Sankhya Yoga, which is also called as a Jnana Yoga, it will be complete when it is spoken, when there is a discussion of Atma and Paramatma. So 25th and 26th element is Atma and Paramatma. Okay. So, and these 24 elements is nothing but the Prakriti, how this material world is made up of. Which are those 24 elements which makes the material world? Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, which Pancha Mahabhut. Yes, 15. Yes, very good. Sense object, touch, tongue, touch, then beauty. Indriya is different. Vishaya and Vishaya Vastu. There is Vishaya and there is Vishaya Vastu. Vishaya is Indriya and Vishaya Vastu. The object of enjoyment is 5. Gandha, Sparsha, then all that. Smell, touch, vision, hearing, sense, object. Yes, 3. Yes. Yes, so that makes it 24 elements. Okay. Okay, so everybody got to know. Sham, can you tell 24 or some of Hmm. Hmm. There. This is something which is important, which you should know. Yes, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Jnanendriyas. Yes, Govind. Sahil, Pancha Mahabhut. What is that? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Hmm. Yes, Govind. Yes. Hmm. 5 sense objects. Vishaya Vastu. Hmm. It makes 20. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, and Pradhan. Unmanifested. Unmanifestation. Prakriti. Okay, so and out of that, the 25th and 26th element is Atma and Paramatma. And when Atma unites with Paramatma, that becomes yoga. So Sankhya Yoga is completed there. So Kapila Muni, who spoke to Devahuti Mata, Kapila Muni is Shaktavesh Avatar, he who spoke to Devahuti Mata, completes this Sankhya Yoga. That's very important. So we are going to talk about Sankhya Yoga. In that Sankhya Yoga, we are going to talk about body and soul. So these verses from verse number 11 to verse number 30, these 20 verses speaks about body and soul. Analysis of body and soul, matter, which is also known as a matter and spirit. Okay, so we'll begin with the verse number 11. No, Krishna speaks 13th chapter also again, Sankhya. When there is a jnana, geya, jnana and kshetra. Kshetra, kshetrajna, jnana, this is second chapter. This is not Karma Yoga. Second chapter is the Gita summarized, content of Gita summarized. You are going to hear Jnana, Karma. You are also going to hear Bhakti in this chapter. Okay. So Krishna found that, Arjuna will easily understand. And then immediately after these few verses, he'll start fighting. But Arjuna is intelligent, like was asking, inquiring more and more. Verse number 11, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Asashvanusosastvam, Prajnavadam Shubhashase, Gatasu na Gatasunsa, Nanu Sochanti Pandita. Say, Arjuna, you are very pandit, you are very learned, you are wise. Because these five arguments which Arjuna had put forward, and practicing bhakti is very, very important of any difficulty in our life. So Krishna is saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. So you are crying for something which is not so worthy. मम्मी चॉकलेट दो रोने लगते हैं ऐसा नहीं है thus who are wise learned neither thus who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So Arjuna's first argument is discussed in these 20 verses to some extent. But Arjuna is saying, I think you can put off the screen. Devotees are getting distracted. Arj- Arjuna is saying that where is huh. So in these 20 verses, the first argument of Arjuna that one of the argument of Arjuna is that I'll get the sin for the killing my own kinsman, or for killing anyone, you are going to get the sin. And that's why Krishna is defending this particular thing by saying that there is no sin. Don't worry about sin. And that's why he's giving this knowledge of Sankhya or giving the knowledge of soul here. So in this purport, The Lord at once took the position of a teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and the soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." So Prabhupada has used this particular word, any stage of the body. So are there some stages of body? Which are those six stages? Birth. Please pay attention. Huh? This is something important again to know. Yes, birth. Okay. Hmm. Other, you know, Prathamesh, reproduction, hmm, death. So these are the six stages of body by which. So please, for the homework for all of you to know the Sanskrit words of these six stages. Okay, please write down now homework. You need to know the five Jnanendriyas, five, all 24 elements, English and Sanskrit. You should also know the six stages of body changes in Sanskrit and English. So next Sunday, we are going to discuss about it. I generally do not forget the homework. Okay. As explained later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and the spirit and the control of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics and sociology. But he does not know that the knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme is even important than the religious formularies. So we studied the particular thing that there is Nyaya Shastra, there is Artha Shastra, and above all of that, there is Dharma Shastra. Okay, so Arjuna is saying that Artha Shastra is something which is important. Nyaya is also important, but then some religious principle need to be given more importance, and that's why he's putting all this argument. Paap lagega, Varna Sankar aega. ऐसा सही नहीं है. But then Krishna is telling that one who is wise, one who knows about body and soul. Krishna is clearly mentioning in this particular thing. Arjuna, you are speaking like a wise person, but you are not. You are fool. You are thinking that I know the whole religious principles, but you don't know the complete religious principle. The very important base of the religious principle is one should know about body and soul, and there is no loss to the soul. So you are not understanding this particular thing. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not have as he did not happen to be very learned, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and the destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for he, there is no cause of lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So, how many of you know that you are not this body or soul? Okay. So stop lamenting. Okay. The Prabhupada is mentioning here that one who knows about body and soul never laments. How many of us lament? Thank you for being honest. Okay. So this is something which is very important. Prabhupada is saying this is basic. This is our base. Once this base is pakka, then to climb or to make the big building of our spiritual life will be very easy. So we have to soon convince ourselves that I am not this body, I am soul. And for that, we'll have to give up the most favorite thing is sense gratification from our life. Okay, verse number 12. Natyevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipa na chaiva na bhavishama sarve vayamatah param. Never was there time when I did not exist. nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be. So if somebody reads this, you'll be completely in confusion. There are some verses when Krishna speaks of when Prabhupada has translated, it's like confusion. So similarly, this one of the verse that never was the time that no you did not exist, and neither I, never and not all these kinsmen, and never will be the time when all of them will not be. So if you see a material gross point of view or the gross body point of view, it is not possible. There is a time when you are going to die. We keep on telling that there will be some time, and the people take on finding out the average. They say that by the age of 70, many people are dying. 100 is the lifetime, and this and that, all of that. So if you talk about the gross material body, the body is going to dwindle. Body is going to go. But if you're talking about soul, never was there time that you did not exist, I did not exist, neither all these kinsmen. So Krishna is being very simple. Krishna is coming to a level, like when teacher is teaching, he comes to the level of student. And you must have seen our Vaman Rup must be experiencing when he's teaching to children. He has to come to that level. And that's why, teacher, the children write, "You are the best teacher I ever met. Thank you. We will miss you." So, so okay. There's nothing to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Sorry. So Krishna is mentioning here, Arjuna. So Krishna is not posing himself as a Supreme Person of Godhead here. Krishna is being teacher, and he's coming to the level of Arjuna, and he's saying, "You are also there. I am also there, and everybody exists." Mahesh Prabhu? And everybody exists. They are there. So don't worry about the loss of the dead body or loss of this matter. You should not worry about the loss of the matter. You should be worried about spirit, that is soul. So this is one of the important verse, though it is not there in your shloka by test. Sloka test. So Krishna Bro, keep your mobile. Uh, So I request you that please by heart this verse, and I will be asking in your sloka test this particular verse. It's very vaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadipa. Na chaiva bhavishyama sarve vayam ataparam. Purport. So when I'm teaching Bhakti Shastri in our Marathi batch also and one of my Hindi batch also, we added many slokas for recitation. And successfully all these devotees also did. So this is one of the first verse which you please make a note. I don't know exactly whether this is there in shloka test or mostly it is not, but it is going to be in your exam. Hmm. Huh? Whatever is given, apart from that, there will be some addition also. Purport in the Vedas, in the Katha Upanishad, as in the it said that Supreme is maintainer of an innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations according to individual work and reaction of the work. That Supreme Person of Godhead is also by his plenary portion alive in the living in the heart of every living entity. So Prabhupada is mentioning here that how Krishna is present every time, everywhere. So Krishna is present in everybody's heart as a Paramatma, in every living entity's heart. So Krishna, when he's saying that there was no time when you did not exist, neither I. So Krishna is mentioning here, I was present in our heart as a Paramatma, in whichever body, whichever yoni you are in. So there was never a time which we were a soul and super soul. They did not exist. Soul and super soul is always together. Bhagavad several times it will come. Upadrushta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta. Krishna is clearly mentioning that I am that Paramatma who is observing, who is sanctioning, who is provider of everything. That is. Sarvasya chaham ruti sarnivishto matta smriti jnana. Oh, sorry. What is it? Yeah. Matta smriti jnanam apohanamsha. So he is saying that, I am there who is observing. I am the one who is giving the remembrance and forgetfulness. I am residing in everybody's heart as a Paramatma. So several verses comes in Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, where is it? Only saintly person who can see within and without the supreme, the same supreme Lord can actually attain the perfect and eternal peace. Is given to all the person in the world who pose themselves as a very learned but factually but have but a poor fund of knowledge. So please, when Prabhupada is mentioning here that Arjuna is acting like a fool, he's a fool. So Prabhupada is not literally meaning him as a fool, but Prabhupada is talking about many fools in this world who say that they are very intelligent and they have a lot of knowledge. So Arjuna, when he's telling that karpanya dosho pahata swabhava, that this wickedness has come upon me, he's also talking about all the wicked people in this world. When Arjuna is saying that I'm not understanding, I'm completely in delusion. So Arjuna is also trying to mention the delusion of everyone. When Arjuna knows so many Shastras very well, when Arjuna is already worshipping Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when Arjuna is completely surrendered to Krishna, he loves him in a Bhakti Yoga, will he not know what is body and soul? He surely knows what is body and soul. So there are two things to understand from this, that there is a covering of illusion or Maya, which will make us forget that I am this body or I'm soul. Or in case of Arjuna also, this lamentation has covered Arjuna's this particular knowledge. And then Arjuna is talking about other Shastras as being very wise and intelligent. I hope everybody is getting. So one thing is that Arjuna's illusion. Second thing is Arjuna is being very compassionate to all of us. And that's why Arjuna is speaking these verses, which is acting like he has become fool, or he is completely in lamentation. Hmm? He's both. He is in lamentation externally. If you see the point of Mahabharat, he is in lamentation. But if you try to see that from the perspective of Bhakti Yoga, then he's not. Like in Bhagavatam, we see Bhishma Pitamaha who's lying on the bed arrow. He's waiting for Krishna, and he's remembering that beautiful form of a Sarangapani, which is Sarangapani means Krishna is holding a chakra and running towards Bhishma. He's saying, let me die seeing, visualizing this particular thing. Let me die remembering this particular vision. And then at the same time, if you see the Mahabharat perspective of all of this, you see that Bhishma being attached to Kaurava dynasty, or Bhishma being attached to. So you see all the, the gross attachment of Bhishma, or you see the bodily attachment of Bhishma. So if somebody sees, they are seeing from the perspective of Mahabharata, they'll say Bhishma being a Maharathi, he became attached to Dasharatha and he was attached to his vows. But then perspective of Bhakti Yoga, where all this Bhishma did on the order of Krishna, that is not highlighted in Mahabharata. But if you see Bhagavatam, the highlight is that whatever Bhishma did is the will of Krishna. Okay, so similarly here also we understand that Arjuna, whatever he is doing, he is going through the lamentation. But another aspect of that is through Bhakti Yoga is that he is doing for the all the community, all the living entity of this Kali Yuga, especially human beings of this Kali Yuga. Okay, next. The Lord said clearly that he himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the living beings and living entities, both in the condition and in their liberated situation. So, if somebody is liberated or somebody is in this material world, somebody is in material world or spiritual world, everywhere the maintainer is who? Lord, Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Supreme Individual Person, and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal associate, and all the kings assembled there are individually eternal person. It is not that they did not exist as individual in the past, and it is not that they will not remain eternal persons. So they will always be there. So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, do not lament for the loss of dead. This is the one we told. So when you are studying this another next verse till 30th verse, please remember this particular line that Krishna is mentioning him. Those who are wise lament for living nor for dead. We underline message. So do not lament. And that's why Krishna is speaking this philosophy. Their individuality exists in the past and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. So there will be no interruption. How do you understand that? When Krishna is saying Nainam Chandanti Shastrani, Nainam Dhati Pavaka. That you cannot kill the soul, you cannot cut the soul, you cannot wet the soul. You cannot do anything with the soul. Soul remains eternal. And how is eternal? He is eternal without any interruption. There is no interruption. It's continuous. Okay. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation of for anyone. The Mayavadi theory. Prabhupada will not forget these people. He will always speak about it. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul separate from the covering of Maya or illusion will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose their individual existence is not supported here by Lord Sri Krishna. So Krishna is clearly mentioning that even after you merge into a Brahma Jyoti, your individual identity will remain. So soul's individual identity is always there. He is individual. So somebody is saying that you will become Bhagavan is foolishness. Somebody is saying that you will merge into something. Like they have, Mayavadis have this particular analogy they give, that you take a drop of water from ocean and again put that drop of water in the ocean. It merges into ocean. It becomes ocean. So there are two philosophies. One is Brahmavadi, another is Mayavadi. The Brahmavadis say that you merge into Brahma Jyoti. They don't say that you merge into ocean. They don't say you become ocean. You are a drop of ocean. And Mayavadis, they say that you merge into ocean and you become ocean. That means you merge into Brahma Jyoti and you become Brahman. When you merge into Brahman, or that means you will become a Bhagavan. So Mayavadi understanding is wrong, and Brahmavadi understanding you merge into ocean and you don't have an individual identity. They're confused about it, Brahmavadis, that whether they have an individual identity or not. But here Krishna is mentioning Nattevaham Jatu Nasam Nattvam Neme Janadipa, that all of them exist eternally as an individual living being. Everybody is clear? Please understand this philosophy. It's very important and very vital. In fact, that this is the reason when Mayavadis can't argue much with Vaishnavas. Because when it comes to individuality, there are hundreds and thousands of verses which talks about living entities being individual. There are very few verses which talks about, there is a verse which has 5 times Brahma word. Brahma Havi, Brahma Agni, Brahma. So that there's this verse in Bhagavad Gita. So that there, they try to derive this. Yeah, Krishna is talking about that Brahma. Krishna is talking about that Brahma as a spiritual living entity. The Brahma is spiritual being, and that Yajna is also spiritual. And ultimately, you become spiritual and you merge into spiritual. There are very few verses which try to derive some Mayavadi understanding. But there are hundreds of verses which talks about soul being individual. There is Atma and there is Paramatma. They are separate. They are not one. But then higher understanding is that they are one. They are one, but they are not one. What is that philosophy? Achintya Bheda Abheda. That is Bheda Abheda. Tattva. Okay. Next. Nor is the theory that we only think about the individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says here in that in the future also, individuality of the Lord and others, as confirmed in the Upanishad, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna is authorized because Krishna cannot subject to illusion. If individually we are not a fact, if individually we are not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much. So we are individual living entity. So no living entity can be same. Sometimes people say that इस दुनिया में 7 लोग जो है वो same दिखते हैं. नहीं, उसमें भी difference होता है. Every living entity's body, every living entity's thought process, every living entity's desires, every living entity's practice, everything is different. So every living individual is different. In any yoni, in any body you are in, every living entity is individual. So individual identity is very important. And in fact, being a human, in fact, being a Vaishnava, we should respect the individuality. That's also very important. It's not the topic of the discussion, but then because you are individual, please respect the individuality of an individual person. Very simple. That, sometimes we make fun of somebody's walking. We make fun of somebody's talking. We make fun of so many things. So you have to understand that individual person is like that only. He's not Mr. Perfect. And he cannot. And you cannot say that, he should be like me only. He's individual. Many times superiors, elders, they try to say, na, Like in your family, you see that, माँ और बाप, somebody, पिता will say that, अरे मेरा बेटा है, तू मेरे जैसा होना चाहिए. But he is individual. He has an individuality. He's going to be different only. So every individual is different, and when every individual is different, we respect the individual's individuality. उस व्यक्ति, इंडिविजुअल व्यक्ति का, जो कोई भी व्यक्ति, उसको सम्मान करना चाहिए. Yes. In that also there'll be some difference, surely. Surely there'll be difference. Okay. Anyways, so we are not getting into a discussion that, individuality project जो बोल रहे हैं, the individual soul means, किसका walking, talking, we are not discussing about that. किसका habits, we are not discussing about the identical living entity का जो habits similar होता है, we are not discussing. We are talking that soul is individual. And Arjuna, one who is individual, who is going to eternally live, you should not lament for loss. One who is individual and eternal is going to continue to be eternal without interruption. So you don't cry for the loss. Okay, next. Even accepting that the argument is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms here individuality is the past and confirm his individuality in the future also. He has confirmed his individuality in many ways, and impersonal Brahman has been declared to be a subordinate to him. So this is how we understand the impersonal Brahman is subordinate. Maximum people in India, I recently when I went to Kumbh Mela, I was just observing the boards and seeing trying to find out what is the philosophy. Maximum people in India you will find follow the principle Brahman or understanding Supreme Lord as a Brahman. But that is a subordinate position of a Brahman. And this particular verse also explains us that Brahman is a subordinate position. After Brahman comes Paramatma, and the next day Bhagwan. So these are the three features of Supreme Personal Godhead. Always remember that is Paramatma, Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, impersonal effulgence is Brahman. There is Paramatma, the localized Paramatma, localized Supreme Lord who is observing everything. And there is Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna has mentioned spiritual individuality all along. If he is accepted as an ordinary conditioned soul in individual consciousness, then his Bhagavad Gita has no value as authoritative scripture. So when Krishna is mentioning that Krishna is coming to that level, but he is not a normal living person, he is a supreme Lord, and that's why he is an individual supreme person who is Paramatma, who is Brahman, who is Bhagwan, and the Brahman position is subordinate position. But any fool who is saying that Krishna is the material living entity, like somebody said, na, that Krishna is not that person who is speaking, the Jyoti inside Krishna is very important. That is being fool. A common man has all the four defects of human priority, is unable to teach that which is worthy learning. Which are the four defects? Okay. Which are the four defects of a living being? Wait. Yes, Prathamesh. Okay. So there are imperfect senses, and because of imperfect senses, what person does? He commits mistake. And then he's illusion because of imperfect senses. Nobody can see anything out behind this one. But then somebody say that there is this Prabhuji who is talking to another Prabhuji, chastising him. You are in illusion. You can't just say anything. Just 1 minute. Hare Yes. So four defects. First is person commits some person is in sorry the imperfect senses because of imperfect sensation person is in illusion and after illusion he commits mistake and then what is the fourth one to hide that mistake he cheats. So these are the four defects. So Prabhupada is talking about the four defects. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all its importance. The Mayavadi argue that the plenary mentioned in this verse is conventional and that it refers to the body. But per previous to this verse, such a bodily conception is already condemned. Which verse is condemning bodily position? Condemning the bodily understanding of this particular verse. Yes, so intelligent person talks about the Mayavadi argues, sorry, where are we? After condemning the bodily conception of the living entities. How was it? Is it possible? Battery is running low. Switch चालू है क्या देखो. ओंकार को ओजस्वी go through. Please do that. After condemning the bodily conception of the living entities, how was it possible for Krishna to place a conventional proposition on the body again? Therefore, individuality is mentioned on the spiritual ground and is thus condemned by the great acharyas like Sri Ramanujacharya and others. It is clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual individuality is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. So, as we discussed, Vaishnavas can easily understand this particular thing. Camera. Those who are envious of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to great literature. The non-devotees approach to teachings of Gita is working like that of the bee licking on the bottle of honey. How many of you see honey bottle? How many of you licked the honey bottle without opening the lid? And how many of you understood the honey is very tasty? Nobody can understand this. So Mayavadi's understanding is unfortunate like that. Seeing this verse on the gross bodily platform is like licking the honey bottle from outside. But we have to open the bottle and take the honey drip and then taste the sweetness of that honey. One cannot have the taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by the devotees. And no one else can taste as it is stated in the fourth chapter of the book. Nor can the Gita be touched by a person who envy the very existence of the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi explanation of the Gita is most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis. Mayavadir bhashya sunlo, hoilo sarvanash. So that's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said no to study Mayavadi philosophy. So we follow that. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis. Once that one who takes such an understanding of loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. If individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of a teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and of the Lord is also eternal fact, and it is confirmed by the Vedas as above mentioned. If individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. So, what is empirical universe? Look, see what is exactly empirical universe. Basically, if it is referring to material world, then there is no point of understanding it. you seem to not. There is no. Exactly. So this, if you are talking about the gross platform, gross bodily platform of this understanding, the universe as it is understood and experienced through the direct observation and experimentation. Basically, one who understands this through the pratyaksha or anuman. They do not understand this through shabda. So empirical universe is one who understands through pratyaksha and anuman, and they do not understand through the shabda. There is no meaning of shabda. That's what Krishna Prabhupada is mentioning here. That if the individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of teachings of the Lord. So basically, they are not valuing the Shabda Praman. They are not valuing the teachings of the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and of the Lord is and is an eternal fact, and it is confirmed by the Vedas. So as we studied that there are every individual living entity, there are hundreds and thousands and lakhs and so many billions, trillions of living entities exist in this world, and they are individual. Though they are many, but they are individual. And one who understands this individuality is also mentioned in Vedas as mentioned above. That is, as mentioned in this particular verse. Okay. Any question? So 11, verse number 11 talks about Arjuna's being wise, but Arjuna is unfortunate not understanding the gross body, the subtle body, and the soul. The gross body is पंच महाभूत से बना हुआ शरीर. The subtle body is different than the gross body, that is man buddhi ahankar, and then there is a soul, that is eternal soul. Yes, Rishikesh. Yeah, yeah. So obviously, if you are talking about this Sankhya Yoga, then you will say soul is not important. I'll kill the soul. But you should have a reason to kill the soul. You should have authority to kill the soul. And when you are understanding this particular thing, that the body is not all in all, soul is very important. You will not get into killing, because this particular knowledge which will rise you to the spirituality, which this will not rise you to some violence. This will not rise you to do something wrong. So that's why when I said you have authority, adhikar, to do that, and when you are doing that, hey, that person is a what is the worst exact Sanskrit word used for atrocity, aggressors, yeah, uh, atatai. Because he's atatai, because you have authority to kill atatai, you can. There's no problem. So this particular topic which is discussed here about the soul is for lamentation. Arjuna is lamenting. If some close one is, we lose some close people, we cry. We get into lamentation. So that philosophy should stuck to us. Or not only this, there are many things we are attached to the body. There are so many things. Our attachments, so many attachments are there. So many. We are wearing those attachments. We are carrying those attachments. And then for the loss of those attachment, which are matter, we are completely in lamentation, grief. We hardly come out of it for that loss. So it is clearly mentioned that your body and anything connected to your body, you should not lament. So here the basic understanding is about all of that. So if you are talking about killing someone, you should have authority, you should have a proper reason to kill. Otherwise, you're going to get the sin for that. Arjuna himself is saying about aggressors, Atatai. When he is speaking about Atatai, Krishna is saying, yes, they are Atatai, they are not following religion. That's why you should kill. And you have authority to kill. No Brahmana from the Hastinapur came and killed Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Nobody. But then Kshatriyas, they had authority to do it. They did it. Okay. And the focus is lamentation. Verse number 13. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara तथा देहांतर प्राप्ति धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. So Krishna is talking about all the Dhira Purushas, Dhira, who are sitting in front of me, who are sense control, who are who are Dhira, who are very sober. So Dehi nosmin yatha dehe komanam yovanam jara. So this is the transformation which happens. Dehi nosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara. Tatha dehantara prapti. Then he gets death and then he gets attends another body. Dhiras tatra muyati. A sober person is not disturbed. So Arjuna, do not disturb. You do not get disturbed so much that you will not fight this war. As embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, and the soul similarly passes into another body at death, a sober person is not bewildered by such a changes. The young youth, especially teenagers, even if they get a small pimple, they start lamenting. As soon as you see there is white gray hairs, people start lamenting. When somebody says, प्रभु जी आपके बाल तो सफेद हो गए, I tell them मैंने चांदी लगाया है, बाल सफेद है. So no need to get lament because it is going to happen. When I see my photo of when I was 21, 22, I was very different than what I am. Then I shouldn't lament. Oh, this has happened, that has happened. But anyway, so many times people go on observing their album. They keep open and they keep seeing the album. And how nice those golden days, the beautiful days, or this and that. So similarly, there will be a lot of changes, and a sober person do not lament for the changes. In fact, change is the constant in this material world. Change is going to happen, and nobody is going to remain permanent like this. What we are expecting. Okay, so do not lament. And Arjuna, you are a sober person. Why are you lamenting for this thing? Who is the Dhira Purush? Whom you know? Lord Shiva is called as a Dhira Purush. I hope everybody knows this. Ashutosh means one who is easily pleased. Santushta. Dhira, why is called Dhira? Because Parvati, when she wanted to marry Shiva, she went and tried agitating him. She tried touching his genital, trying agitating him, but he never got disturbed at all because he was completely in samadhi, chanting the name of Rama, which is very, very difficult for any living entity. Parvati is who Bhuvana Sundari. She is the most beautiful lady of this whole material creation. If somebody who is most beautiful lady of this whole material creation is coming and disturbing, we don't need any, even the most beautiful lady of Pune is also can disturb. So, so that she is coming and disturbing, but then he's least bother, and that's why he's called as a Dhira Purush. But then Lord Shiva, same Lord Shiva got distracted because of whom? Mohini Murti, because he's always attracted to a supreme personality of God. And Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, can disturb or distract anyone because he has that beauty, he has that uh, charisma. Purport: since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing body every moment, manifesting some as a child. So what your biology says about the change of body? 7 वर्ष की 1 वर्ष? So whatever is that, in fact, every day your body change, and after maybe 1 year or something like that, all the cells in your body change. But then we don't understand that. We don't pay attention to it. So point is, the change Prabhupada is mentioning here, the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. So uh, we are going to study about 3 aspects of soul here. Anybody knows which are the 3 aspects in these 20 verses? We are going to speak or study about 3 aspects of soul. Soul is individual. Hmm. Bara, you are right. So there are three things to be always understood from this thing: is indestructible, you cannot destroy the soul. Then second is immeasurable, you cannot measure the soul. And third is eternal. That soul is eternal. So these three things we are going to continuously see. That soul is eternal. So when we are studying about the individuality of the soul, we know that the soul is individual. When we are going to study about Natya, this Nainam Chandanti Shastrani, he is indestructible. And we are also going to see the size of the soul. And that's why he is immeasurable. You cannot measure. Okay. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new one. Therefore, regenerating their energy, such a change of body account for various of enjoyment or suffering according to one's work in the life. So Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in a heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So in neither case there was no cause for lamentation. So he's saying that somebody's body has become old, and he's going to get a new body and he's going to enjoy. And when he's going to get a new body according to his work, that is karma, he's going to get. So somebody who has done a good work will go to heaven, or they may get liberated also. Somebody who has done a bad karma is going to suffer in the hell. So they are going to get bodies, different bodies. They're going to rejoice. They're going to enjoy in their different bodies. Why are you crying? Why are you suffering? You don't lament for it. Get up, fight. Because Drona is teacher. Drona is teacher. Arjuna is lamenting for what? He is lamenting for, mainly in this war field, Arjuna is lamenting for Bhishma and Drona. Because Drona is a respectable teacher and Bhishma is his, the grandfather who is loved by him very much. Simple. And then Drona is a martial art teacher who is a Brahmana. And because of his work as a teacher of a martial art, teacher of, not martial art only, teacher of, what is it, Shastrastra, and he's a Brahmana. So because of his good deeds, he's going to go. He has performed his duty. Bhishma has performed his duty. So both will go. Simple. Not only there is Krupacharya, there are other also. But then just to quote some, Prabhupada has quoted Bhishma and Drona. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and the nature, both material and spiritual, is called Dhira, the most sober person. So we should always know three things: soul, super soul, and material world, material nature, that is Prakriti. So remember this connection of these three things. And one who knows about these three things is Dhira Purush, is a sober person. Such a man is never deluded by the change of the bodies. The person is never deluded. Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit and soul cannot be entertained on the ground of a spirit. Soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental position. Such a cutting into a different individual soul would make the supreme cleavable and changeable. Sorry. Such a cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable and or changeable, against the principle of the supreme soul being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental position of the supreme exists eternally, sanatana, and are called as a kshara. So please always remember, the soul is eternal. It is sanatan. So when you are talking about the eternal position of the soul, that is sanatan. You will study in detail in 13th chapter about this. Is also called as shara. Shara akshara. There are these two important words which comes. We'll get into details of that later. Shara is eternal. they have a tendency to fall down into a material nature. These fragmental proposition are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the supreme personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to a super soul who is present in each and every individual body and is known as Paramatma. Okay? समझ में आ रहा है? What you understood, Rishi Vishwanath? What? Please pay attention to. This Bhakti Shastri is for this Bhakti Shastri teaching is for me and understanding is also for me, but maybe practice for you. He is different from the individual living being, living entity. When the sky is reflected in the water, so the proper is talking about reflection. When the sky is reflected in the water, the reflection represents both the sun and the moon and the stars also. The star can be compared to the living entities, the sun or moon to the Supreme Lord. So there is super soul Paramatma present everywhere, present in everybody's heart. And there are so many living entities also present. So many stars, which is a reflection of the sky, which is of stars and moons. In the water, there are stars also, there is water also. Both are individual, both are different. You cannot say that, because Paramatma is cut into lakhs of pieces and then there are soul. That then the Paramatma will lose his individuality. Paramatma will lose his supremacy also. So Prabhupada is mentioning, no, they are different. The moon is different, the stars are different. And they are individually present there. The moon is supreme. And the stars are not living entities, the soul. The individual fragmental spirit, soul, is represented by Arjuna, the supreme, and the supreme soul is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. They are not on the same level as it will be apparent in the beginning of the fourth chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna, Krishna is not superior to Arjuna. So when Krishna begins with this particular verse, that how I started, imam vivasvate yogan proktavan avyayam ivasman manave prava. So he's saying that I have given this knowledge to different people. And then there was a lineage of Kshatriya and yogo nashto parantapa, that eventually it appears to be lost. So Arjuna is saying, Are, Krishna, you said that you gave knowledge that time also. And now you are saying giving that knowledge to me also. But then sun is before you. You are born now, and sun is there from lakhs of years. The sun has come before you. The what is it? Vivaswan has come way before you. Then how do you understand that you were present that time? So this particular knowledge, Krishna is again explaining in the fourth chapter that how I was present there also. And how he is, because he's a supreme lord, he is present everywhere and every pastime and different leelas. And he is giving knowledge to different people. They are not on the same. I hope everybody is getting. Govinda, please explain us what you understood till now. What you understood till now, going to please give mic to him. Nahi hai mic. Quickly. After Govinda or Rishikesh is going to explain. Are you did not understand anything? Sham, help him. Help him. Okay, 24 elements. Eternal position of soul. There is Atma and there is Paramatma. Okay. I can show you Bhutatma also. Yes, quick. We are not going to move ahead, going. Adinath? So this is very important to know that soul, super soul, and material nature. One who knows about it is a sober person. He is a Dhira Purusha. Yes, Rishikeshu. Hmm. That is reflection theory. Hmm. Stars are compared to souls, and the sun or moon is compared to Lord. Okay, fine. Sil, we did not study about Mayavadi philosophy. We are not here to study about Mayavadi philosophy. Mahaprabhu has forbidden us. Prabhuji gets into essence now. Mayavadi bhashya sunle hoilo sarvanash. Mahaprabhu is talking about it. I accept it. Okay, good. What happens if you study Mayavadi philosophy? Prabhupada is mentioning a very nice statement there. If somebody gets into a study of Mayavadi philosophy, he will not understand Vaishnava philosophy. Because of the illusion covering, that person will never understand Vaishnava philosophy. So it is a very serious matter. Yes, Mihir Bro, what is your understanding from today's study? About this, yeah, discussed about anything else. Okay, this is what this we studied in verse number 13. Yeah, we also studied verse number 11 and 12 also, and then we studied many other things. I'm just trying to understand how much you all are getting. Okay, let's. If both of them are polluted by the illusion energy Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and another being instructed. So Prabhupada is again mentioning there is no point in studying this knowledge. This Bhagavata is meaningless if you are bringing Krishna on our platform. So we should never try to bring Krishna on our platform. We should always keep Krishna high, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So both, if somebody who is being instructed and one who is the instructor, if they are both are on the material platform, then there is no point of instructing and instructing. The one who is instructing has to have some superiority, some knowledge, some experience, some good practice, some good realization. Then only he can teach. Okay. So basically, Krishna is laughing at those friends who are teaching other friends. अरे पता है क्या तुमको life ऐसा होता है life ऐसा जिया जा सकता है. That is foolishness. We should learn from superiors. Yes, bro. Personal. Yeah, yeah. So all those friends like Uddhava, when he was sleeping with Krishna, eating with Krishna, talking with Krishna, he was being friend. But then same Uddhava knew the supremacy of Lord. Apart from Brajavasi, the topmost devotee is Uddhava. He is in the friendly relationship, but he is a devotee who knows that he is a supreme Lord. When gopis are speaking Brahmara Gita or this Gopi Gita, there's so much of Krishna being supreme is explained. But that supremacy is overpowered by the relationship. And then because of that's why Arjuna is when he's saying that Shishyastam Shadimam Tam Prapanat, before that he's arguing with Krishna. Will you go and argue with Krishna? तुमको क्या पता है तुमको धर्मशास्त्र पता है क्या हाँ ये बोला जाता है ऐसा होगा ऐसा we cannot but he knows that he is my friend and then I can argue with him so that friendly relationship over but now anyways Prabhupada is not at all talking about relationship here Prabhupada is talking about instructor and one who is instructed don't bring both on the same level otherwise basically don't bring Krishna on the level of material And then don't make Krishna as a normal living entity. Krishna is a super soul. Krishna is a supreme personality. Krishna is Purna Purushottam Bhagwan, and respect him like that. And if somebody respects like that, then taking instruction from him will be much more easy. Okay, verse number 14. Matra Swarshastu Kaunteya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada Agama Payino Nityas Tam Stitikshasva Bharata Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. So this is well-known verse. Everybody has studied this verse. We are not getting into a detail. But Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. Sparsha is spoken here about. So you must have heard that sparsh is something which is very dangerous because of sparsh, the attachment to the sparsha. People are getting caught up in this material world. The sex pleasure, which is mainly spoken about, is about the sparsha, and that is, you can say, the force which is not driving us, which is pulling us down. Many times people say it's a driving force, it is but it is actually pulling us down. It is sucking our energy. And Krishna is talking about this sparsha. So you may say that Krishna is not talking about this sparsha, but then our acharyas speak about this sparsha in this way. And then because of this sparsha, person is completely in delusion. And then he does not understand what is happiness, what is pleasure. He does not understand this is something which is regular. And that's why he's suffering. So what is supposed to one supposed to do? When tam stitikshasva bharata, he should tolerate. So whenever our mind is senses are agitated, tolerate. Whenever happiness and distress come, tolerate. Whenever loss and profit happens, tolerate. Don't become overjoyous, don't become over sad, grief stricken. Go ahead in your life by tolerating. So whenever senses are agitated, disturbed, tolerate. Keep quiet, keep some patience. So Arjuna also should keep patience. So why this is spoken? Because in the previous verse, Krishna is what he's saying, that there are changes which are going to happen. As soon as there are changes, sober person is not disturbed, but one who is not sober is always disturbed. So when there are changes happening, tolerate. So in our life, this verse is to be applied very much, which is very, very important. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Because of the touch, one understands heat and cold. Shitoshna, sukha dukkhada. Also, we understand. So basically, this verse is talking about because of the touch, we understand what is heat and cold. So this is dvandva. This verse is talking about dualities. Similarly, there are dvandvas like sukha and dukkha. जैसे हम टच करते हैं हमें समझ में आता है कि कोई what is heat and what is cold. Heat and cold is dvandva. Similarly, there are another dvandvas in life, which is sukha and dukkha. Agama paino nitya. This is going to happen regularly. This sukha dukkha is going to come regularly. Sometimes we are very happy, sometimes we are miserable. Same relationship can give us happiness, same relationship can give us misery. So don't get caught up in this miserable thing. I mean, in fact, the happiness is very less and the misery is very much in the relationship. Agama payino nityas tam sitikshas bharata. So tolerate. So translation, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance is due course and are like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception. So sense perception is something which is dangerous. Sparsha. The ocean of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So as I said, now Krishna is not directly mentioning about the sense perception, but because of the sense perception, sparsha, person understands heat and cold. This is the analogy, basically. That you can understand by touch what is heat and cold. Similarly, so after explaining this analogy, Krishna is talking about duality. There is heat also, and there is cold also. The major duality in this world is sukha and dukkha. So Krishna wants to focus on duality. Then he's talking about the major duality. What is sukha and dukkha? And then he's saying that they are coming and going, appearing and disappearing. Agama paino nityam. Agama paino. coming and going nitya, regularly. Tam stitishya bharat. So for that, you should learn to tolerate. That's very important. And another understanding which Acharya has used, because of the sparsha, many times the happiness and distress come. Why? Because sparsha is related to a man and woman relationship. And when a man and woman relationship brings a lot of happiness and a lot of misery. That is also one understanding of this thing. Okay. So tolerate the dualities is purport. In the proper discharge of the duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearance and disappearance of the happiness and distress. According to Vedic injection, one has to take his bath early in the morning. So Prabhupada is talking about, the Magha month, the January and February when it is very cold. But then one who takes the bath in that cold time also. And then Prabhupada is talking about the Grishma Rutu in which the mother has to cook. Though there is a fire around, still she goes and cooks. So basically, Prabhu Krishna is saying here, perform your duties properly. When you are performing your duties, there will be some heat and cold. When you are performing your duties, then there will be some happiness and distress. There will be some loss and profit. But keep on doing your duties properly. So mother doesn't say that, no, it's very hot, so I'll not go and cook. Modern mothers sometimes say, but the traditional cultural mothers don't say that. Or if somebody is following I know, I have to complete. I, Hmm. And if somebody who is following of a Vedic religion properly and who knows that he has to get up in Brahma Muhurta, take bath, take a cold shower, he'll do. He doesn't care whether it is January, February, or it is March, whether it is Magha or when it is. If it is a Falgun month. ठीक है. Similarly, to fight in the religious principles of Kshatriya, and although one has to fight with some friends or the relatives, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principle in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. Please highlight this. Because of knowledge and devotion, one can free himself from the clutches of Maya. Two different names address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as a Kshatriya signifies his great blood relationship from the mother sides, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. Kaunteya and Bharata. These are the two words used for Arjuna here. From both the sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of a proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. So our great heritage is we are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Our great heritage is Srila Prabhupada is our eminent Shiksha Guru. Our great heritage is that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, gave knowledge to Lord Brahma. Our great heritage is Madhvacharya is our Acharya. And then seeing the great heritage, we do not get distracted from the path of devotion. So continue. There will be some distraction. We have to become a Dhira Purusha. And for becoming Dhira Purusha, we have to tolerate the agitations. Okay. Yam hina व्यथयन्ते te purusham purusharshava samadukha sukham dhiram soma amrutaya kalpate. So the first verse is talking about that, the hinasmin yatha dehe, by which one understand that, the person who is sober is not bewildered. And how a person who is sober is not bewildered? By tolerating. The second verse talks about tolerance. So please try to understand the connection between these verses. And now this particular verse, which is The final verse is talking about one who tolerates. What will he achieve? So amrutaya kalpate. He'll attain the very special thing. O best among the man Arjuna, a person who is not disturbed by the happiness and distress is steady in both the certainty, eligible for liberation. Sa amrutaya kalpate means he is fit for liberation. One who is fit for attaining a spiritual world. Okay. So don't get agitated, tolerate. You will be called as a sober person and you will attain the destination. So you also can understand this as a sambandha, vidya and prayojan. The first verse talks about sambandha, relationship, the knowledge. Abhidheya is talking about process to tolerate. And by tolerating and having a knowledge, one attains the prayojana, that is destination, that is liberation. It's a back to Godhead verses. I generally say that these three verses are back to Godhead verse. Bolo, bolo. I always give this example. One person was a poor person and then he went for buying a lottery ticket. He bought the lottery ticket and then next day that particular number came. He got 10 lakh rupees and he was happy, so happy, so happy. He got heart attack and died. Happiness can also be heart attack. Happiness can also be killed. Happiness also can be a part of a misery. Your happiness can be part of somebody's misery who can create a misery in your life. So that's why दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नमना सुखेषु विगतः स्पृहा स्थित राग भय क्रोध स्थितधीर मुनिरुच्यते. What does that mean? This verse say दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्न. In the dukkha, your मन is udvigna. Sukheshu vigatrasu. You are overexcited. But one who is a sober person, who has overcome raga, bhaya and krodha, that is attachment, fear and anger, is called Stitadhir Muni. The Stitadhir Muni definition we are going to see in this chapter only. That he is the one person who is neither happy, neither sad. In happiness and distress, he is equivocal. He is equipoised. And such a equipoised person is called Stitadhir Muni. And a devotee is Stitadhir Muni. Okay, so we should not overjoice in our happiness, neither become over painful, lamented, over lamentation in our distress. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Understood? Oh. Anyone who is steady in his determination for advanced stage of spiritual realization can equally tolerate the onslaught of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. For steady in determination, who is eligible for liberation is his steady in determination, tolerate the onslaught of distress and happiness. One who tolerates the onslaught of distress and happiness is eligible for liberation. Who is eligible for liberation? Yes, Alus. Bus. One who is steady in determination. So somebody may be determined but may not be steady. So we have to be determined and steady. Our steadiness is very, very, very steady. Steadiness is most unsteady in the world. So determination, maybe you have to be steady. That is a sober person. And such a sober person can tolerate happiness and distress. Onslaught of happiness and distress. But one who is serious about making his life perfect. How many of you are serious about making your life perfect? Be honest, yeah, nobody. So Prabhupada is saying about the person who is serious. One is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyasa order of life in spite of all difficulties. So we are going to study in in chapter 5 and 6 about sannyas. What is sannyas? Okay. So there you understand what Prabhupada is talking here. The dualities usually arise from having the severe Haribol class is not over. Rishi Vishwamitra Prabhu, please read. Verse number 16. नासतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सत उभयोरपि दृष्टान्त तो अन्यतो तो अन्योस्तत्व दर्शभी तो अन्योस्तत्व दर्शभी. That means one. Okay, okay, got it. Indeed, that person is the seer of the truth. Tattva darshabhi. So tattva darshan is something which is very important in philosophy. In a philosophical understand, darshana is very important. And that darshana, in this darshana, the understanding of tattva is very important. So tattva darshabhi is a very important word. That person knows tattva very much properly. So who is that person who knows this philosophy very properly, tattva very properly? Is a sober person who knows what soul is changing, but body does not change. So this verse talks about soul, body is changing, but soul does not change. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate. Those who are the seer of the truth have concluded that the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance of the eternal soul, there is no change. So the material body keeps on changing, but the spiritual body, that is soul, does not change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of the body. This they have concluded by studying the nature of the body. You want to ask something? Okay, verse number 17. Please read the purport. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham vyavasyayasya न कश्चित कर्तुमर्हति. That which is that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So soul does not change. That means soul is eternal. And here this verse is talking about soul is indestructible. That one cannot disturb the soul, or one cannot kill the soul. The soul cannot be killed and the body cannot be saved. So previous verse talks about Avinashutu tad bhava, sorry, Nasato vidyate bhava. That talks about that the soul is eternal. Soul does not change. Body keeps on changing. This particular verse is saying that soul cannot be killed. Body can be killed. Okay, we'll stop here. Please read these two purports. I'm going to ask individually about what is your understanding. For especially verse number 17, purport is very important. Okay. So next class, you have homework of studying these two purports and getting the English and Sanskrit names of all what I have asked. Vamanrupu, which all things I have asked for homework? Changes, bodily changes. 16th and 17th. Purport. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. महेश विचार सगळे इथे बसतील का दुसरा क्लासरूम? We just had a certificate distribution of our first Marathi batch in Pune. आहे पार्टी त्यांची. They are celebrating. There is a big feast. ऋषिकेश, Hare Krishna.
प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
Can't hear you.
प्रभु जी थोड़ा इंटरनेट का प्रॉब्लम है।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।
Okay, fine, no problem. We'll talk sometime. Hare Krishna.